An area of your story that I'm really curious about is the online part of your business, which is, again, a big part of what you do. And now you're not even doing the functional medicine, you don't have a practice anymore. But when did that start? So you're talking about working those 60-hour work weeks back in the clinic. Were you starting to like write blog posts back then, or what did the early days look like? And when did you start that?
Yeah, so I opened my practice in 2008, and at the time, I like writing, I like creating content, I love speaking, and I love just teaching people. And so I started writing a newsletter that I would type out. It'd be a one pager, and it would be something like 5 steps to lower your blood pressure, or you know, the 7 top nutrients for healing leaky gut syndrome, whatever it is. I would write a newsletter, I would hand it to a patient, and all my patients got a new newsletter every week. Well, I had a patient come up to me and she said, "Hey, this is awesome, but I'd love to send this to my aunt in North Carolina who's got high blood pressure." She said, "But is this posted anywhere online?" And I'm like, "No, I just put it on my computer." She's like, "Is there a way you could post this online?" And so I asked my assistant at the time, her name was Lori. I said, "Lori, how do I get this thing up online?" She said, "Well, my husband's actually a graphic designer. And do you want him to build you a website?" I'm like, "Hey, that'd be great." So he built the website. I think it was done by probably 2009, early on. And and so anyways, I started posting these articles online, and all of a sudden a lot of people were reading them, so that's kind of how it happened.
Talk about the growth though. I'm really curious to get into the details. How long did it take before you noticed, like, were you looking at traffic and noticing it was picking up steam, or were you kind of
Well, not
just
originally. I mean, I didn't know how to use all the analytics, but I think about a year or two, about a year and a half in, I said, "Hey, how many visits are we getting a month?" And I think it was like 100,000. I was like, "What? 100,000 people are reading this a month?" I was kind of blown away. And then it grew a little more and a little more and a little more. Eventually, we had a snowball effect. And I want to say in 2018, so about 9 years later, we were the number one natural health website in the world at drax.com at nearly 20 million monthly visitors. And so the website just exploded. I mean, just the number of people viewing it and just the reviews of people saying, I saw a lot of these messages saying people saying, "Thanks for such a great resource, because you're speaking truth about this stuff. You're giving the details. You're quoting all the medical research. You're posting recipes. If you're talking about something." And so, but here's what's crazy, Jesse. My website today, drax.com, now gets closer to 4 million views. So the visits have gone down by 85 to 90%. And here's why: Google actually now is more of a pharmaceutical company. So Google started a pharmaceutical company themselves. They bought 2 pharmaceutical companies, and then they own a major stake in GlaxoSmithKline, one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world. So we want to understand Google's 2 things. Google is a tech company and a pharmaceutical company. So they came out with a Google algorithm a few years ago, a form of censorship that said, "Okay, we want medical sites that are running medical ads to get all the website traffic." And so they literally took all the websites. So I'm talking about my website, drax.com, Mercola.com, all the natural health websites that talked about the benefits of using natural supplements and foods and things. They actually punished them. And our website traffic went from 20 million down to 4 million and less in the course of 2 months. And all the visits went to WebMD and Mayo Clinic. And so, like, where we were writing, I was quoting, like, I wrote an article on turmeric on that, because there were studies showing that turmeric was more beneficial than 20 different medications in treating heart disease and all these and inflammation, all these different diseases. Well, now if you go to WebMD, if you search turmeric and WebMD pulls up, it says, "Does turmeric actually work?" And so they're questioning it. And then they have ads on the site that instead have a medication for the same condition that turmeric would treat. So you see more about a medication. So people don't realize how deep this is. But I'll just say, and I know that this episode's not about this, so I know people may not want to hear about this or not. But the truth is, the censorship now of Google and Facebook and Twitter and these social media companies is out of control. It's like, what are you trying to hide? They're trying to hide the truth because of money. It costs a lot more to farm and source turmeric than it does to create a synthetic tablet, which costs less than a penny. And yet they'll sell it for all this money to make money off of people that are ill. So, anyways, all that being said, I know you didn't ask me about that necessarily, but I just want people to know the truth of what these big companies are doing. So, just to let you know, if you're searching in the future, switch to a search engine like DuckDuckGo. So DuckDuckGo or another one, and search turmeric, and you'll see, a lot of good resources pull up that are speaking the truth, not someone that's trying to brainwash you into thinking that a medication will heal. So again, it's just important for people to know.
No, this is really important. I'm fascinated by it. I'm glad we're going deep on it. So what, Josh, have you done to combat that? You said within 2 months it dropped down, to under 4 million or 4 million. What do you do in the position you're at? This is your business. How do you make sure you're still relevant and getting found?
Yeah. So for us, and here's the other thing I believe, when that happened, you know what my response was? God, this is your business. You've got the whole world in your hands, and I'm not called to, I'm not called to change what the tech company is specifically doing themselves. Like, I'm called to love people. I'm called to teach people these principles of nutrition, the same things that healed my mom. I'm going to teach that to people. So I'll use a different platform. I'll speak to people in person. I'll start a podcast like I did, around that time. And so I'll find other ways to get the truth out there. So that's for me. I never focus on, I never meditate and think about, oh, how bad things are. Because let me say this: I had a lot of practitioners call me, and they said, one of them called me in tears, and he said, Josh, my business is my business that I run. He ran a online functional medicine clinic, like a virtual clinic, and he said my visits went declined by 90%. He said, and now I lost my source of marketing. And he said, what do I do? And I said to this doctor, I said, Bill, I said, you know what? Um, God will provide. Let me pray for you and let me know what I can do to support you. Here's some ideas. But I said, you're going to be okay. And you know what? He was okay. And so for me, I'm not going to live in fear. I'm just going to, just going to do my best. I told a friend this the other day who was flipping out about something that happened on Facebook where they got banned. And I said, hey, what's the worst that can happen? I know we've got some land over here. What's the worst that we can happen? We build a cabin and we grow our own vegetables, and we get rid of the carrot. We raise our families here on this little bit of land we own, whatever else. So I said, that's the worst, that's not so bad.
I've had similar conversations. That's so funny. So, do you think we're getting better or worse? Do you think this is now like, hit its climax where censorship of natural health and wellness, do you think this is going to continue to get worse, or are we going to raise awareness by people like you speaking out and head back in a better direction?
Yeah, I mean, that depends on how we respond. It really does. I think, and it depends, fortunately, a lot on politics, who you vote for. I mean, there's one side of a party that wants censorship and wants things banned and wants more power, and there's one side of the political spectrum that says we need more freedom to be able to voice our opinion, and we need more freedom. And so for me, I'm all for more freedom. And so I think it depends on how you vote and how you act. And so for me, I'm speaking out about this, letting people know, like I am on this podcast, I'm sharing the truth of what's out there. I'm looking for alternatives to other social media platforms, and I'll be getting on other platforms here in the near future, and taking action in that way. So anyways, it's I believe that we need to stand up, and we need to let people know the truth. And um and I think we're probably going to need to find some different platforms in the future where censorship is not so prevalent, because it's one thing to censor something that is damaging to an individual, but the truth is what they are covering up and what they are censoring should not be censored. Almost none of it should be censored.